On Sunday, July 13th, Saturn goes retrograde in the sign of Pisces for about 4 months until November 28th. So we're starting a new 4-month chapter about maturing, about breaking through disillusionment and needing to get more focused on what really matters for us. So I'm Jeremy Devins. This is the Quietmind Astrology Podcast. If you're new here, get your free birth chart at quietmindastrology.com. So Saturn is the energy of boundaries, limits, restrictions, discipline. So we look to the naked eye with the stars. We can just look at the sky without a telescope. Saturn is the furthest planet we can see. So it has rings around it. When we want to commit, we get a ring to commit to something. We create a boundary around it, we create a container around it. This is what Saturn teaches us, where we need boundaries and structures and containment, where our limits are. In Pisces is boundless and without limits. So this energy that's going on all the way through 2027 is finding this balance of structures without form, without structures, breaking through boundaries, breaking through limits, breaking through perceived ceilings, and changing those structures. A lot of potential for major life changes, major updates, major revision to all aspects of life because Saturn affects all of it. But overall, it's about becoming more mature, becoming more wise, more intentional about where you put your energy, your time, what responsibilities you say yes to, what you can actually be accountable and commit to. That is all throughout 25, 26, 27. But right now, this 4-month cycle, July through November 2025, we need to go back to what's worked in the past. We need to go back to what structures, limitations, rules, agreements, accountability really supports our purpose and mission. And this time with Jupiter and Gemini, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of possibilities, a lot of expansion and change going on. We're really moving into a new phase of society as a whole with the influence of AI and robotics and things like that. So this is this huge disruption, huge change, but it's happened so many times throughout history. It's not happened many times in my life where it's actually been this level of transformation. There's been some pieces of it, but this is a really big one we're going through. So there can seem like overwhelming, like too many possibilities, too many changes. It can bring a lot of anxiety and fear with Saturn, uncertainty, and Pisces can bring a boundless level of fear and uncertainty and anxiety to this. Neptune brings a lot of illusions to it, so we might not be seeing things fully clearly. But the big lesson of these 4 months is to start to discern and see more clearly and to go back over things that you started and be more discerning, be more clarifying about it, and revise, review, and realign with what really matters from the foundation up. So it starts with your daily habits, as I talk about a lot, your practices, your sleep, your water, your movement practices, your time in nature. These are foundational things for health that are better in many cases, not always, but better in many cases than any medical intervention or pills or drugs. To start with your own foundational practices of what you eat, when you sleep. These are all Saturn things of your foundational lifestyle practices. So as it goes retrograde now in Pisces, it's an opportunity to review those things, revise those things, and realign in those areas. In Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, this is a part of the sky where Saturn is, a smaller division of the sky, smaller than Pisces. This is about necessary endings. So the symbolism, the symbol of the Vajrapadas is a funeral cot. So there's Uttara Bhadrapada and Purva Bhadrapada. Both of them have the symbol of a funeral cot. And Saturn's going to go back through both of those over the 4 months and then forward again. So is it necessary to let go of things that are no longer serving, to end things? Pisces is also about endings and releasing. So we're reaching the end of certain phases of society, certain phases of our own maturity, of our own depth, of our own spiritual walk. It is necessary to let some things go. As Ketu is also in Leo throughout this time, Talked a lot about this of letting go of the ego, letting go of the control, letting go of the identity and roles that you think you're supposed to play or that sound good or look good, or maybe you've just gotten comfortable with. There's a lot of forces moving to change and challenge those things, to take a new approach to them. There can be a lot of confusion. I've talked about all this year. That's one of the big words that comes up a lot this year. Confusion, uncertainty, this destabilizing kind of force. So this is an opportunity to cut through the confusion to create clarity. And confusion is not a big deal. It's not a problem. It means that there is not a sort of organized way of approaching it yet. There's not a way of reevaluating, reassessing, and having a clear path. The opposite of confusion is clarity. And when we see clear, there's a clear path, a clear direction, kind of like a GPS to say, go here, go there, to reach a destination. So it's important in this time to have a sense of your destination. What is your vision? Pisces is a visionary energy. Neptune is as well. What do you want to create? Where do you see yourself in a few years, 5 years, maybe just a few months at the end of this in 4 months? Where do you see yourself? Where would you like to be? What would you like to transform in your life? And move towards that. So clarity starts, oftentimes for me at least, starting with a date in the future. So for me, this is like, when's the date of the next mentorship program that I'm offering? And work backwards from there. What could I do to enhance or improve, update, upgrade this? How can I make this the best it can be? And that starts to focus my daily actions, moving towards that vision of the future. And if you don't have a vision, you just go with the flow. That works for some people, and that's totally fine. People with more Pisces energy tend to be like this. They want to go with the flow. They don't want to have a certain set of firm, locked in vision that has to be this way. And that totally works for some people. And that's totally valid if that's your way of doing things. But this can help if you feel confused or overwhelmed or uncertain or fearful or anxiety coming up. Those are all Saturn challenges in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter and Gemini. These are quite confusing, destabilizing, overwhelming forces going on throughout this cycle, through most of this 4 months, because Jupiter is going to move to Cancer in October. So that will bring some relief in this. So like late October, early November, there will be more of the sense, most of November, the sense of more clarity, more of a peaceful kind of energy with all this. But the gift in all of this is to give you an opportunity to just reevaluate things and check in. Like, is this aligned? Is this working for me? And just like in a yoga pose, when a pose is aligned, there's a sort of harmony, a balance. There's a sort of element where the pose kind of sings. It just feels good in your body. And that's spiritual alignment too. When you're in a job and it just feels right. When you're in a relationship, it just feels right. It's not necessarily an emotional feeling either. It's like an energetic thing. That is what we're moving towards with all of this. Checking in with your life, with your habits, with yourself, your foundation, your structure. Is it working for you? And if it's not, what can you change and improve and adjust? And this is an ongoing, continually evolving thing. As we age, as the seasons change, this is meant to be a continually changing thing and something to keep checking in with, of what habits are going to serve you now in this phase of life and this chapter over these 4 months, which is different than before when Saturn was direct. So there could be some burnout that comes with this. You may be feeling like there's just too much going on, too many ideas, too much change, too fast. So that is all Vata imbalance in the Ayurvedic perspective. So Vata is air and wind and ether. So that is the continual movement, unpredictable change. It's the more subtle energies. So to balance it out, you need more Saturn, Earth, grounding, more Virgo kind of energy, Taurus kind of energy, more practicality, structure, routines in your day. Not just because I'm a Virgo, I'm saying that, but I'm a little biased, of course. But when you have a Vata excess, too much change, too much movement, too much uncertainty, the whole society is changing, the whole world is changing fast. You need the element of earth to ground and stabilize. This could be in your diet, grounding, nourishing foods, root vegetables, warm soups, these kind of things, especially if you're in a winter climate during this cycle. So with the Vata gets excessive, balance it out with the Pitta and Kapha. So the fire and earth elements help reduce that anxiety, fear, overwhelm, burnout, these kind of things. Good time for checking in with your dreams, listening to your intuition, looking at the symbols, the numbers that show up, the synchronicities that show up. These things can be very important guides, especially if there's a recurring dream or something from the past coming back up to the surface. Watch for that over this 4 months. Old themes, old patterns resurfacing. Be kind, be patient, be kind to yourself about it, compassionate to yourself if old patterns emerge. These are coming up to be seen and witnessed and to be felt so you can heal them. You need to feel it to heal it. And this is a time that can reveal those things. And if you don't reveal them, then they're just subconsciously running your life and we don't even notice it. But when we become aware of the patterns and aware of the old ways of being, now we have choice. So a lot of big themes of this second half of 2025 of letting go of false identities, false roles, ways that you think it should be or has to be, so you can be what is just really you, what's really aligned, what's really true for you. There could be issues of overthinking, overstimulation, too many inputs with Jupiter and Gemini ruling over Saturn. These are all a bit dissonant energies all together. So if you find yourself overwhelmed, overthinking, overanalyzing, too much inputs, too much stimulation, too much social media, that's all Vata again. So the simplest response is more Kapha. So that means less scrolling, less information, less inputs, more focusing on yourself, your center, your things in your material world around you, getting your feet in the dirt, in the ground, in the sand, time in nature. These are all very grounding, earthy things. Actually being on the earth, climbing rocks, these kind of things are great. So there could be seeking answers everywhere, outside, externally, looking to the news, the media, the changes, society, your job, external forces. These all can be helpful, but they can never replace your inner guidance. No, nobody can. I can't, a book can't, no podcast can. So that's where practices are so helpful, having some sort of practice to come back to, even if it's just 5 minutes of sitting in stillness. That can be so powerful on busy days for me, even just sitting for 5 minutes. It's like my mind defragments. If you remember in the Windows computers, when put too many things on the hard drive, you got to defragment your computer because it's got like all these pieces of the file spread out on your computer. Now you defragment and now you put all things together that make sense together, consolidate. So this can be literally consolidating your life, putting things together, organizing your home, organizing your files, organizing your life. It can be very favorable throughout this whole 4-month cycle. Now, there is the symbolism, the deity associated with this Uttara Vajrapada Nakshatra is the serpent of the depths. So, great time for working with Kundalini energy, Kundalini yoga, awakening your potential. The serpent energy is close to the ground. It is stealth. It is patient. It is conserving energy for the right time. Saturn loves that kind of stuff, conserving energy, waiting for the right time, being patient, and looking for the right moment to strike, you could say, if there's an opportunity you're waiting for, or if there's something you're building towards. So it's connecting to that inner potential within yourself and waiting for the right moment to express it and thinking long term. This doesn't mean you have to postpone anything or delay anything or wait necessarily, but it's about finding the right timing and trusting that timing. So it's like there's a certain time when your body naturally wants to wake up, a certain time when you want to go to sleep. And it's, I think, important with the Saturn energy through this cycle to be listening to those timing signals. You know, when you're hanging out with friends, there's a time to leave. And if you don't listen to that, you start to get annoyed and resentful because you feel like you should have left already. These kind of things can happen, you know, when you're not listening to the timing or not trusting it. For me, many years ago, this is part of why I got so deep into astrology is I felt this call to make this big move in my band at the time and change my. I was just working at a job for money, and I really wanted to quit, but I resisted. I felt the call and resisted. This is normal. It's okay. We all do it at times. But when you feel the call and you resist it, you're going to create more problems, and you're going to have to make the change against your will. And that's what happened to me, and that's what happened to me many times, where really wanted to stop feeling like I was sort of resisting life and not heeding the call, and wanted to heed the call and flow with life and work with the changes. And these changes are very organic and natural, and you can feel them happening, you can feel them coming. And when they happen, to not fight them or resist them or make them more hard than they need to be. For me, that was a big motivation to get so deep into astrology. So as Saturn now goes retrograde in this place, there's an opportunity to go deep into your potential, listen to it, dispel the illusions, cut through the noise, clear out the distractions, and listen within. And there's an amazing sense of divine timing in there. That's where all this astrology comes from, is these people sitting and observing these things. And as we're looking at these charts here on the podcast, we're looking at what's happening in the sky at this moment. And there's a sort of cosmic clock happening of when Saturn is here every 30 years in Pisces. There's certain things that predictably happen. Just like when the sun is here at a certain time of year, there's certain things that predictably happen. So much of Western culture is based on the sun and focuses just on that. And most Western-minded people will say just the sun is the only thing that's even remotely real in astrology. It's like, yeah, okay, there's the winter, there's the summer, there's the solstice and equinoxes. That's the sun, and there's the seasons, and that's it. That's as far as they go. But in the Vedic tradition, the moon is more important and more given more precedence, and there's all sorts of rituals and syncing up with the moon. And in modern times, we can use the ascendant a lot to understand the self. But all of these are sort of like hands on the clock. And when they're in these places, there's certain themes that we can predictably predict based on past patterns and many, many years of looking back at patterns. So as we're in this time, this is a time for the things I've been talking about today. And I hope you find this helpful in awakening some of your inner fire of the Purva Bhadrapada that Saturn's going to go back to, awakening some of your passion, your direction, your intention, some of the Pitta energy to cut through the Vata, anxiety, overwhelm, too many ideas, too much going on in society. This is all here to help you burn away illusions, to get back to your center. And there's some necessary truths to be spoken, some necessary actions to be taken that you can resist, you can fight it, you can not do it, but it's likely going to lead to more dissatisfaction, frustration, disharmony in your life when you resist those changes. And when you flow with them, when you align with them, there's a sort of magic to life. The synchronicities are a good guide. When you go in a direction and there's no synchronicities, it feels like everything's uphill, everything is closing in your face, there's no all around. That's probably not the direction your soul is calling you to go. It's probably not aligned with your path. When you go in another direction and you feel aligned in flow, lit up, inspired, energized, when you're doing work and you just don't want to quit, like you feel like you could do it endlessly. That's how I feel about my work. I'm very grateful for that. When you feel there's synchronicities around you and you hear something over here on the podcast and you see something in a movie and then some friend brings up the same thing, and it's like there's no way those things could have been interconnected other than through your alignment with your path. And then these synchronicities are like, yeah, you're on the right path. Green lights. Let's go this direction. There's something for you here. There's something in this. Even if it's going to be challenging and hard and require a lot of faith and trust from you, it's still the path. Your heart knows. And if your heart doesn't know, if you feel confused, uncertain, come back to your grounding practices, come back to your foundation. The Saturn is calling you towards to purify, to cut through the illusions of what's not true and aligned for you. So you may be needing to revisit some old lessons. You may need to replay them so you can spiral up and out of them. And you might need to repeat them a few more times, maybe a few more years even. That's okay. It happens sometimes. But hopefully you can repeat it just one more time and then see the pattern playing out and then make the change and align. And then there's new stuff. There's new things to work on all the time as long as we're alive. So it doesn't end. but we can evolve, and we don't need to keep living the same year over and over again. We can have a new year, new path, new level alignment, new challenges, new levels of growth, new levels of love and heart expansion. Because all of this is pulling us towards more maturity, more stepping into our gifts and what we're really called towards, and how we want to show up through this cycle. So if you want more details on how to work with the transits going on this year, you can check out my guides on the Rahu Ketu episode, which also covers Saturn in there, and the Jupiter episode, which is a free guide for that. These are the big transits of the year: Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, and Ketu. And I've got free guides for them based on your rising and moon sign. You can download at quietmindastrology.com, and you can check out the past episodes for more on those. And if you want a reading, you can go to quietmindastrology.com/reading to book a reading. And the mentorship will be opening in August. If you want to go deep with me and learn how to read everything in your chart and how to read charts for others and get amazing feedback like many of my past students, that's at quietmindastrology.com/mentorship. I love working with you in depth there. So you can check it out if you want to go deeper with me in this work. And I share everything I have to offer about astrology there in depth. So I hope you found this helpful. If you do, leave a comment on Spotify, leave a review on Apple Podcast, share it with a friend, and look forward to sharing more with you next time on the Quiet Mind Astrology Podcast.